Well, obviously, it's one comment from a an ally of Ukraine, a Baltic president, but it's not. It's something different if that came from Angela Merkel or Boris Johnson or Justin Trudeau. So it's important, and I don't know the context of why she said that exactly. It could have been as simple as that was how she felt. Or it could be that she's trying to send a message on behalf of, the European Union that Ukraine needs to accelerate its, fight against corruption, its democratization of institutions, and so forth. From the business side of things, Ukraine's economy is growing in spite of COVID. It's growing. It's still, yes, it's a challenging environment because, particularly if you're a foreigner here, because there's a lot of say murky waters, bureaucratic waters you got to navigate through. But Ukraine does have opportunities. It continues to have opportunities in agriculture, in land, in renewable energy. There's a lot of opportunities here that in North America we don't have. I mean, there's some dynamic growth opportunities that we just are not available to us in North America that exist here in Ukraine. Well, yes, it is. I'll talk about the TIU Canada case just briefly, specifically, but yes, and let's put it this way. I mean, it's not if you're looking for a very stable environment where you can have a set rate of return every year, then Ukraine's not the place for you. But if you're looking for some dynamic opportunities that don't exist in North America, then Ukraine is a market to look at. I mean, you got a $42 million population. On the eastern side of Europe, with trade between the Baltics and Black Sea. So there's a lot of opportunities here that we just don't have in North America. That being said, yes, the TIU Canada case is one of those examples of a good, clean Western business that invested in Ukraine and solar energy, helped to build up the electricity infrastructure so that Ukraine would not have to import electricity from Russia. And they came in, they invested $70 million, built 5 stations, 56 megawatts of production. But unfortunately, there's a lot of bad players around still. And in this case, it involves an oligarch trying to steal this Nikopol solar station, which is a profitable business. The fact that it's profitable is why Mr. Kolomoyskyi is trying to steal it. So there are other considerations. You always have to be on your guard. We're hopeful that in the end, through the court system and other diplomatic channels, that TIU Canada will prevail in this case in Nikopol, but it's not decided yet. It's still in process. So, yes, go in with your eyes wide open, but there's a lot to look at here. So there's the traditional, Western textbook risk management, which is applicable. However, you hit on something very important. And so whenever I talk to Western businesses that are coming to do work in Ukraine, and I'm a consultant who largely works mostly with Western businesses in Ukraine, there are kind of three key steps that, I advise them. Number one, get a good lawyer, because the laws in Ukraine are not as solid and locked down as they are in North America. They don't have the long history of rule of law and certain protections under the law that we have in North America. So you got to have a good lawyer. So I always say, Ukrainian businesses can afford to make mistakes. Foreign businesses cannot afford to make mistakes in Ukraine. So get a good lawyer, do things by the book, don't cut corners, don't pay bribes, do it officially, do it transparently, because as a Western business, one, you need to set an example, but two, you as a Western business, you're going to be scrutinized more closely than a local business would be. So make sure you've got an excellent lawyer, excellent legal team when you come to do business in Ukraine. That's step number one. Number two, make sure that you have good support from your Canadian embassy or American embassy, European, embassy if you're from the EU. Make sure that you have good support. Let them know what you're doing. I mean, obviously, business is separate from the diplomatic sphere. But that being said, having a good relationship with your embassy is also important, because you need occasionally a diplomat to talk to a Ukrainian government official about a problem you're having, or or to, let the Ukrainian government know that the embassy out there is aware of you and they support you. This sends a strong signal. So those are two key steps that I would recommend to any business doing, any company doing business in Ukraine. And the third thing is, yes, you do need a good local fixer, a good trusted person that you can rely on, help you navigate these bureaucratic waters. There's the law, and then there's Ukrainian realities, as they say. So for foreign businesses, the law tends to apply more often in a good way, but not always. And so you always have to be on your toes. Talk to people with experience. Talk to people who have been out here working successfully for a number of years. So that would be my advice that I would give any Western business wanting to do something in Ukraine. Well, I think Zelensky is going through a lot of the same experiences and realizations that other Ukrainian presidents have gone through. When Zelensky came in, I think he was trying to maybe open up a new dialogue with Russia, and those advances, those overtures were quickly rejected. And so he quickly found out that it wasn't because Poroshenko wasn't trying or this or that, but the fact is, as long as Putin's there, Ukraine's going to have difficulties. Ukraine just marked 30 years of independence, had a fantastic Independence Day parade, and probably maybe the best Independence Day parade Ukraine's ever had, which is a little bit ironic because in 2019, Zelensky was very much opposed to having a parade, wanted to save the money, and didn't feel like it was something worth pursuing. So what's happening, I think, with Zelensky is he is becoming a more Ukrainian president in the sense that there's an old saying, you get elected with votes from the East, but then you have to govern with the support from the West. If you're a Ukrainian president, I think we see some of that with Zelensky now, that he certainly won with a lot of votes from the East, but to effectively govern, you do need to, be attentive to what voters and the public in the West is wanting, because that's kind of the heart and soul of Ukraine, and that drives a lot of the policy debates. So, again, Zelensky, is going through what Kuchma, Poroshenko, Yushchenko, a lot of these presidents have all gone through. You come in with high popularity, it begins to decline. You make certain steps along the way, but he's certainly learning. I think he's growing in the job. He's 3 years away from an election, so that gives him time still to operate. And he still has a mono majority in Parliament. So he's still proven that he's able to get things done, through Parliament and the Cabinet of Ministers. So that is to his benefit. Thanks, William. Bye-bye.